I am just a man in recovery doing my very best to share a positive message of love and hope to anyone out there struggling. My name's Danny Shannon. I spent 17 years in the pain, hurt and misery of active addiction, heroin, meth, crack, anything you could get your hands on. I am absolutely blessed to have found recovery on the 15th of September 2009. This is the Kick the Shit podcast. Each week, my guests and I will share our stories around the social and emotional impacts that addiction can have on both ourselves and our loved ones. Let's go! Boom, let's go. Meet Jordan, a determined young woman who's faced her fair share of obstacles, but emerged stronger than ever. She was born with cerebral palsy, but from day one, she never let that define her. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how you feeling, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm pumped.
Jordan, it's so cool to have you here. First, before, just a big shout out, this image. I also want to give a big shout out to your uncle Glenn here. We're definitely going to speak about Glenn Sparks throughout the interview. And everyone joining us for the live, thank you so much for being here. I also would like to give a big shout out to our sponsors at Koa Hani. Koa Hani are helping you help yourselves. They supply NDIS support and support coordination. Thanks so much, Koa Hani, for sponsoring the show. Jordan, have you ever done a podcast before?
Nope.
Yeah, and Jordan, you and I, we're interlinked. We talk quite often, and I know that it's been quite. It's something you wanted to share your story, and you've got a big story to share, and I can't wait for us to be able to. One of the things that I know you love speaking about your uncle Glenn too. So we'll dive into that too. But Jordan, do you want to give us a bit of an introduction to yourself, please? We'll start with that.
Yeah, I'm Jordan. I'm 29. I had cerebral palsy, so I'm in a wheelchair, but you obviously can't see my wheelchair at the moment. I'm in recovery from meth, 8-month clean at the moment. Yeah, not sure what else to say.
Cool. Yeah, that's fine. That was a good little intro, Jordan. And all right. So, Jordan, what we're going to do is we're just going to basically give you an opportunity to go back and reflect on what it was like to grow up. Basically, how you became stuck on drugs, and also what it's like now. You mentioned that you're in a wheelchair, but we can't see that. That just goes to that little intro I gave. Then how you from day one, she never let it define you. It kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
You know, you are beautiful and ready to share your story. So, Jordan, would you mind telling us a little bit about growing up and how, I guess, having cerebral palsy has defined your childhood, and maybe a little bit about your mum and dad? I know further into that bio, you speak very highly of growing up as well. So, would you? Yeah, can we go back there and start there? Brothers, sisters, stuff like that.
Yeah. So growing up, basically I was born 3 months early. So I was born with cerebral palsy because I wasn't breathing when I was born. And so basically my mum was pregnant before me, but she had a termination because she was on drugs for that pregnancy, and she didn't want the baby to come out addicted. And then she fell pregnant with me. So apparently she was clean for my pregnancy, or for the pregnancy of me, but at about 4 months, the doctors told her she shouldn't get pregnant, but she was already pregnant, obviously. So she kept me, and I just came out at 27 weeks. And as I said in my bio, like, I didn't really feel like I had cerebral palsy. Like, I knew I was different. And, like, there were kids where I grew up. I grew up in Maryland. There was 34 Department of Housing houses, and it was a complex. So we called ourselves the complex kids. And obviously I knew I was different from them, but I was walking, I was running around. I was never in my wheelchair, actually. And my dad never made me feel like I was different. So obviously, because they were normal, they could get on the roof and run around, and that's a thing that they used to do, and I used to get jealous. So my dad climbed on the roof and put me on the roof when I was about 8 or 10, and he just sat on the roof with me and walked around. Who knows? It was a Department of Housing house. I don't know what he was thinking. We probably could have fallen through the roof.
I love that. So Jordan, can I just go back for a sec? So you're walking around. So you're in a wheelchair now, but when
Yeah,
you're younger, when you're little, you were able to walk around. Is that right? Excuse me,
yeah.
my ignorance. I'm not sure. And you also mentioned that cerebral palsy, being born early, is what caused it. We'll talk about both of those things if that's okay. But first, so you could walk around up until what age?
Um, 16.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So I didn't start walking until I was 4 when I started primary school. My teacher, Jim, he taught me how to walk. And then from there, I just kept walking. But when I went to high school, they told me it was a risk to walk.
Sure.
And then I had surgery at 16 that basically made me relearn to walk. So since 16, walking's been hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so you basically um you've been in the wheelchair since 16 then or 17?
Well, I had a wheelchair my whole life, but I didn't use very much when I was a kid. So once I got to high school, I started using my wheelchair quite often, like every day at school. Even at home, I wouldn't walk much. So,
All right. Look, you know what, John? Like we said in your bio, that's not what defines you. Let's move on from that, because there's
yeah.
so much more to you. I mean, that was in your bio, so I just wanted to touch on that. Okay, so and it sounds like Dad took you up on the roof. That's a beautiful story, actually. I love that. That's beautiful. And sort of wanted you to experience that because you wanted to be up there. So do you have brothers and sisters too?
I have two brothers.
Yeah.
Um, my brother Huck, he's 40, and he's very supportive. I talk to him several times a week. And my other brother, I'm not that close to, so we don't talk that much.
Okay. And when all right, so like we're talking addiction here too. I know that it's something
Yeah.
that you suffered with. Was there any drug in the family? You mentioned that maybe mum had a habit through one of the pregnancies. What's the
Yeah.
family history with drugs and alcohol?
So I guess because Glenn and my dad are brothers, and my dad told me like back in the 80s, and I'm sure you would know this, everyone was just like, yeah, heroin. Like it's not a big thing. Like nobody knew really what it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my dad got addicted to heroin, and then when he went to prison, they put him on methadone. And then when my mum and dad got together, she had mental health issues. So she was on heroin and methadone and pills, like a billion different pills. So I don't remember a lot of when I was younger, but my brother Huck tells me like there's been times when I was really little that he came home and there was needles on the ground and I was just crawling around.
Mm.
But when I do remember, like when I was younger, um, I don't remember them being on heroin. I do remember them being on methadone and them going to pick up their dose every morning. And I know my mum was on medication, like mental health medication, but she was abusing it. Um, so, and like, it's kind of fucked up. But excuse my language, but my dad used to say to me, "Oh, can you pee in a bedpan?" And when I was younger, I was like, "Sure, whatever, Dad." And then when I was about 16, he asked me again, and I looked at him and I'm like, "Okay, what's in your urine that's not supposed to be?" And he's like, "Shit, you caught on." And I'm like, "I'm not stupid. Obviously, you're using something you're not supposed to."
Wow. So Dad's asking you for a bodgy urine to give to
Mhm.
parole. Hey, Jordan, something else you just said that I just want to touch on this, and it's shocking. Like you mentioned, you possibly crawling around with syringes around the house. I just want to touch on that. Like, fuck, I've got this beautiful 6-year-old daughter. Sorry, that's my cat carrying on in the background too. But I've seen that before. I've seen conditions like that with people, and I also want to say that it's been in the last 10 years that I've seen that, and I actually called. I've fucking called the police. I would encourage anyone else to do that too, because no, like no kid should have to be in those conditions. And I know parents love their children too, but if you're putting your kids in a situation where there's fucking needles hanging around the house and the kids are crawling,
Yeah.
that's just shocking. But look, please don't think I'm better than anyone, because I was fully addicted and caught up in all that shit too. But I can't say that ever was my case. But I'm so sorry to hear that. Like, it just hurts me. Like, it almost brings tears to my eyes when I hear that.
I think that part affects my brother more because he remembers it and I don't because I was so little. So
This world sometimes, I get like, it's such a beautiful world, but there's so many fucking horrible things too. I'm swearing a lot too, guys. Excuse my. I'm quite passionate about the children, because
yeah,
Jordan, I've got my daughter Amalia, who just
yeah,
means the world to me, and she's quite. All right, okay. Look, let's talk about Glenn first, because I know one of the most. There's something about you, Jordan. You and I have been, talking and working together for some time, and one of the most powerful things I know, if you're feeling down, or if you're happy, it's often got to do with you thinking about your uncle. So just before, again, just anyone on the live watching now, I'm talking about the photo here, and if you're listening on the podcast, you can't see the photo, but I'm just showing a photo on screen with Jordan and her uncle Glenn Sparks. Glenn, by the way, was a client of mine at one stage. Me and Glenn have quite a bit of a history as well, and I know that brings a lot of happiness to you, Jordan, when I can tell you stories. And I also know a bunch of people who have got stories that I often share with you. Tell us,
yeah,
tell us, tell us about Glenn, because I know this is such a huge, huge part of your story. Let's get that out there first.
yeah. So growing up, my dad and Glenn didn't get along for whatever reason. They both have different stories of why they didn't like each other. And I'm like, do I believe dad or do I believe Uncle Glenn? Like, it's hard to know who to believe, but I'm like, yeah, they have their own stories. So when Glenn was in Glebe House, after I think he got out of jail, he was out of jail for a while, but he was in Glebe House. He found me on Facebook
Mm.
and he messaged me, and I was like, holy shit, that's my dad's brother because he looks like a spitting image of my dad. And I
Really?
was
Look,
like,
yeah.
I had never met him, like I've been around him before I was about 3, but I had never met him apart from that. So I just knew my dad's side of the story at that point, and I was like, not being rude, but what do you want?
Yeah,
And
sure.
he was like, I'm sorry if I scared you, but I got told you were gonna die before the age of 5, and to know you're alive just made my day. And then we just started talking, and we were talking, and then I think my dad passed away, and he rang me the week after my dad passed away on the phone for the first time, and I heard his voice and I just started crying, and he's like, "Oh darling, are you okay?" And I'm like, "You sound exactly like dad." um and then we met up in Newtown once when he was in Glebe House. And maybe you can fill in the blanks a little bit, but after he left Glebe House, I believe he went to a halfway house. Is that correct?
So just so everyone knows what you're talking about, yeah, I used to work in a rehab, and Glenn was a client there that I worked at. So that's our relationship in that aspect. So and to answer your question exactly, Jordan, yeah, we used to have halfway houses where clients would finish the program and go there. Back then, the system wasn't perfect, that's for sure too, and I mean, no system ever is perfect when you're dealing with addicts as well, that's for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, so he moved on to a halfway house where he was basically, with a little bit of support from us, continued to sort of do his own thing. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so I remember he posted on Facebook that he could no longer stay at the house for whatever reason, whether he told me the truth or not, I don't know. Um, but he went back to the cross and he was telling me he was sleeping on the streets of the cross. And I was like, dude, I have a spare bed in my lounge room. You are not sleeping on the streets of the cross because that's one place you're going to relapse if you do. And he was very independent and was like, no, I'm fine. And I was like, you're moving in with me. You have no choice. Um, so he moved in with me and he sort of became my carer, like unofficially, not through Centrelink or anything. I told him if he wanted to get Centrelink payments for that, he could, but he said he was doing it from the kindness of his heart. And the thing that I loved about him, before he moved in, I would probably sleep all day or just, yeah, I wouldn't do much. I was very depressed. And every morning he'd be like, come on, get up. We're going to get coffee, take your medication. And then he'd make everything an adventure. So even if we were going to Woolworths, he'd make it an adventure.
Just to recap, just so everyone's on the same page here. So your dad passed away similar time. We'll talk about that, Jordan, because of course that's a huge part of the story as well. But dad's, it was dad, and then all of a sudden, Uncle Glenn, your dad's brother, who looks very similar, sounds exactly the same, comes into your life. He reaches out to you and he says, Jordan, I don't want to scare you, but I didn't, I was told that you weren't going to make it past the age of 5. By this time, you were 24 or
No,
22.
I was 20 when we first started. Oh, no, I was 22.
Jordan, like I'm just hearing this story, and it's such a beautiful story, right? And then Glenn was found himself homeless again because he'd played up in some aspects. That's why he'd been kicked out. I don't
Yeah.
know the circumstances. He did something wrong. They have rules these places, fair enough. So, but then you've invited him into your house, and up until that stage, you were quite depressed. Of course, you've lost your dad. You're spending a lot of time in bed at home, and Uncle Glenn, the legend. And by the way, guys, I've got some beautiful memories with Glenn. We made pavlova together, a Christmas pavlova, which Jordan seen the photo. I should have had it ready.
Yeah.
Christmas back then anyway. Together, and he's such a good spirit. And so he's living with you, and he's like all of a sudden you've got this almost like your dad. Well, I don't know. Is that how? What's it like having him there?
Well, we had this conversation. He's like, I don't want to replace your dad.
Mm,
And I was like, okay, this is going to be hard because you look exactly like him, you sound like him. But once I got to know Glenn for the time that I did, I was like, you are nothing like my dad, but in a good way.
yeah.
But he was so encouraging and happy. And like he had been through hell too. And I was like, how the hell is this guy so positive and happy? And maybe it had something to do with you because you're so positive.
Nah, yeah, but sure. But nah, I think he just had that. I think he just had enough of the old life, He'd had enough of the shit. He'd been exposed to a new way of life, in recovery. Being at that rehab too, you get connected with some other good men, and you start to see that, like life is more than just about using and abusing
Yeah.
drugs. Yeah, sure, but go on.
Yeah, so I just remember like he'd tell me, get up, take your meds, we'll go get coffee, and then like even if we were just walking to the park or Woolworths, whatever, he'd make it an adventure. So he'd make jokes, he'd sing songs, he'd dance in the middle of the street. Like he'd just make my day in any way he could.
So much love. That's so cool, John. It's so beautiful to have this conversation with you. I know, like I said just before, like I know how much this stuff lights you up. All right, John. What? Okay. Next, what happened?
That's the sad part. So I only had Glenn in my life for a little bit over a year, and he was living with me. I had gone to the movies. My neighbor rang me and was like, your smoke alarm's going off. Where's your uncle? And I was like, I don't know, maybe at home. I kept trying to ring him. He didn't answer. I got home at about 9 o'clock. My neighbor rang at 7. And then my other neighbor had to break my door down. And unfortunately, Glenn had overdosed and I found him.
Trigger warning. Hey, so sorry. I should have.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's my fault.
No, it's not your fault at all. Don't worry. The show's all about trigger warnings. That's what we talk. Jordan, I can't possibly imagine um, what that's like for you, dude. And I mean, this has been a big part of your trauma for
Yeah.
years. A lot of the hurt and sadness. I know. Do you want to talk to us some more about that? Like how did that?
Yeah. If it's cool, I'll talk about it.
Please do, of course.
So I lost mum and dad in 2013, July and August. So they passed 5 weeks apart. And then when I lost Glenn, that was in October of 2016, I'm pretty sure. And I just wasn't coping. So I went to a friend's house, and the people there had drugs, and I basically, trigger warning, this is where it gets into my addiction. But basically, I was like, I don't care. I don't want to be alive right now. Give me some drugs. And it was ice. And I have heard of ice before, but I never did it. And unlike most people who smoke it, that's not how I had it the first time. So after I had it the first time, I pretty much became addicted.
How did you have it the first time?
I had a shot.
The first. So hang on. Had you been abusing drugs previous to this?
Oh, I
So your
smoked
first,
pot.
your
I
first
smoked pot once. That was it.
so really your first introduction to drugs was at what age? How old were you?
23.
And your first introduction was that you shot up ice.
Well, somebody helped me do it because of the cerebral palsy, I can't find my veins, but
Yeah.
yeah, someone helped me do it.
That's actually quite a unique story, Jordan. I didn't know that, and look, I have heard of that before, but wow. So your first introduction to drugs was like one of the most putrid drugs of all, being methamphetamines, and you'd
Yeah.
inject it for the most extreme way to get it into your system. What did it feel like, Jordan? Like you've been through so much shit in your life. You've been in a wheelchair. You've lost your mum, your dad, your uncle. Then you have the shot of ice. What did that do for you?
Um, I remember my brain just shut up. There was no negative thoughts, and I felt like I was on top of the world. And I said to my friend, who's also in a wheelchair, I just looked at him, and I'm like, I need to move. And he's like, what do you mean you need to move? And I'm like, I need to dance. I need to do something. So I put the railing on his bed up, like a hospital bed. I put the railing up and I got up and I was like, started dancing around. And he's just looking at me like, what the fuck is she doing? And I couldn't stay still. And I didn't understand why. Because of the cerebral palsy, usually my muscles are tight. I don't have energy. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm dancing.
Wow. So look again, like somebody had a go at me for some content I made the other day about me like talking up fun times in using, but fuck for you, like like it is what it is. But for you, like I mean, we didn't become addicted because it was shit, did we? We loved it. It did
Yeah.
something for you, and for you, your muscles that were always so tired, and everything just changed in that moment for you, and you felt alive. You wanted to start dancing.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me happy as well. It does. Like it's a sick, twisted thing, but it makes me happy that you have that for a second. Um, okay. Wow. All right. And yep. What next?
So I think I stayed up for maybe 3 days and then um, I wanted more and more, and my friend said, yes, you can have some more. But then on the third day, when I asked for more, he's like, Jordan, no. And I
Yeah.
was like, what are you, Jordan? What are you saying no for? Like, I don't understand. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'll pay for it. And he's like, I don't care. You could pay me $1 million. But I'm trying to tell you, this drug is the devil.
It really is. All drugs are, but yeah, and especially for you in that position too. Although I feel like any drug, because what it is, it's drugs change the way I feel, and that's what it did for you, effectively up, down, in the middle. All right, so you basically become an addict in 3 days, don't you? Like you got that obsession and compulsion to get and use more drugs already the minute you've had your first taste.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the thing was, where I was living with Glenn, I put in for an emergency transfer because I didn't want to be there. Um, but they told me the wait would be 2 years. So I moved in with the friend that had people around that were using drugs. And um, like everyone was smoking. There was only one person there that was injecting. So when everyone was smoking, I was like, what's the difference between smoking it and injecting it? And then for the 4 years that I was using there, most of the time I was just smoking it. So I switched from having like 3 shots when I first started to smoking it.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is because I was smoking all the time, I started to lose weight, and that sort of became an addiction for me.
Yeah. So were you overweight at the time? Were you when you started to jump?
Um, I was probably the weight I am now, which is 110 kilos. When I was 100 kilos, and then I got down to 67 was my lowest.
Yeah. And look, I know this is one reason why people um, continue to abuse meth and other drugs because the weight loss is quite dramatic. Like I used to, yeah, I shouldn't again muck around, but if you want to lose a couple of kilos, get on the ice. That certainly fucking did it for me. But you lose everything else as well, don't you?
Exactly.
So yeah. All right, Jordan. How long did this go on for? How long did the use and abuse go on for, Jay?
Um, so I stopped using in I think 2020, and I went back to my own house because I had got transferred from where Glenn passed away to Leichhardt. Um, but I was very attached to this one friend. I'm not going to talk about him much. Like, this is the end of the story for him because I don't want to upset anyone. Um, but it was hard for me going back to living without him being there. So my brother was supporting me. But the thing is, when I was using for that 4 years, I actually experienced drug induced psychosis.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're on
And
the right. It's a guarantee you're going to get that. You're not sleeping, you're abusing, and that's exactly what happens. Yep. Sorry, Jordan, go on.
and like for anyone that hasn't experienced it, I hope you never do. But that's one thing that keeps me clean. I never want to experience that again because it's like literal hell. I was hallucinating. I was in the shower and I thought people were chopping me up. Like it was just crazy. I actually had to go to hospital for it because nobody could calm me down.
Can I just say on that, Jordan, and like you just said, that's why I'll never use again. Well, no, that's not what you said, but that was enough for you not to want to use again. But that is not always enough. The thing is,
No,
like having, for example, I don't know, there could be anything. Having children, knowing you're going to lose your children, or you're going to die if you pick up again. Addiction will let you pick up again and again and again until we make that decision for ourselves, not because of the circumstances, not because of the shit things that happen, but because we're willing to make that change. John, before we go on and talk about how you kick the shit, Far out. Would you like to talk about mum and dad? Did you want to share some of that with us? I mean, we've been through a bunch of grief already, but
Yeah, like how they passed away, or
yeah, did you want to share that?
yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, like my whole life, my mum struggled with mental health. I think she had bipolar. That's what it was on her diagnosis. But then I've spoken to other people, and they're like, I don't think she had bipolar. So I'm never gonna know what it was. But basically, like my whole life, she was taking her medication, but she'd abuse it. She was on methadone. She would inject that, dad would inject that, and that's what I hated because it made them more dopey and unable to take care of me when I needed it. But my mum committed suicide because she had bowel cancer. She got it when she was 40, and she had a stoma bag, and she was always in a lot of pain. But yeah, she committed suicide, and then 5 weeks later, dad had a heart attack.
And then just a couple of months later, you lost Glenn. How long after did you?
3 years later, I lost Glenn.
Jordan, I just want to say again, I mean, I know you've spoken about this stuff before, and we have been over this stuff also, but I just can't possibly imagine what it's like. And I don't know if I just want you to know I'm so sorry that you've been through all that stuff, and I just I praise you for having the courage to share your journey. And look, you telling your story too, and just to share what a strong determined woman that you are, and here you are today. So, Jordan, to be able to share that stuff, and again, like I love that we can talk about Glenn because I know how much, like, it makes me happy talking about that too. But
Yeah.
all right, would you like to anything else about what's your rock bottom, Jordan? Actually, before we move on to how you kick it, what's your rock bottom? Do you think? What's the worst? I mean, we've probably covered it. Is there any lower? Does it go any worse?
Um, I guess there's two different types of rock bottom for me. So the drugs, obviously, but before drugs came along, when my parents first died, I was living in a group home, and I didn't know how to cope with that at all. I didn't know how to tell people I wasn't coping. So I started self harming. I started, trigger warning for anybody. I started cutting myself. And then after that, I started attempting suicide. I've attempted suicide probably over 30 times. And I ended up in the mental health ward for nearly a year, I think, in and out. But yeah, so I had to spend a lot of time in hospital.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Jordan. First, let's jump forward a second. How are you feeling now? How's life for you today?
Um, I don't want to say it's great and fantastic and it's the best it's ever been, but it is really good. Like, I have really good supports. I have people that care about me. I have you. I have Jess. Um, and the reason why I have you and Jess is because I reached out to Beck. You know Beck.
Yeah.
Um, and
Thanks,
she told,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
she told me to reach out to Jess. And at the time, I was a bit unsure, but I'm thankful that I did.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, Jordan, we're grateful to have you in our lives also. And I just love that, we can support and we all support each other, That's what this whole recovery community is about. But Jordan, all right, let's talk about and thank you for sharing that, Jordan. So you're 8 months clean?
Yeah,
8 months clean off the ice, off the
yeah.
meth. Yeah, congratulations. And I love what you just said then about I said, how's life now? And everyone's expecting you to say, oh my God, my life is so amazing, but that's not the case, is it? Like ups and downs. I often ask, like what's your number on the scale of 0 to 10? 0 equals you're sad, miserable, unhappy, life is shit, and 10 equals you're chuffed and full of gratitude. Your numbers often, like in the mid to like low numbers too, and but life could be much worse, couldn't it?
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
All right, Jordan, how did you manage to yeah, like I remember your last relapse. How did you kick the shit, Jordan? Like how are you 8 months clean? Talk to us about
Well, I wasn't. No one's expecting to relapse, but like over Christmas and New Year's last year, I got extra money because my money situation is a bit complicated. I got extra money unexpectedly, and for some reason, my first thought was go get on, and that's what I did. But it turned into like over a month relapse, and I was going down the path of full blown relapse using all like I'm going to be using all the time. But I was very lucky that I don't know if I talked to you over Christmas and New Year's. I can't remember much, but I do remember reaching out to Jess a lot and saying I'm going to go use or I just used, and Jess was always there on the end of the phone listening to me. But now I've put in place when I get large amounts of money that I don't feel comfortable with, I transfer it to a trusted person and they'll hold it for me. I also have another carer. I don't know if she'll want me to say her name. You can. Her name's Claudia, and she listens to all my venting and all my bullshit. So she was very supportive over that time too. Yeah.
I've heard so much. Honestly, Claudia, I've heard so much good stuff about you, and I also know, like Jordan's always like you are Jordan's favorite, and Jordan's always looking up, Jess as well. And Jordan, you tried to give me a bit of credit. You might have spoken to me over Christmas, but generally it's not me. It's Jess. You speak to
Yeah.
Jess all the time. I know you speak with Jess on a daily basis. I know you are connected, and just look, people might not understand because we have jumped ahead a bit there. You mentioned
Yeah.
you have a carer. And you mentioned you've got a complex situation about holding your money. By the way, if you ever want me to hold some of your money, please just send it to me. No, joking. Why do you have carers? And people might not know what. Yeah, what kind of stuff do you get today?
Well, the carers, they help me with like my physical care, so getting dressed, going to the bathroom, making food. I can make food myself. I can chuck food in the air fryer, but they can help me make food. But with Claudia,
Jordan,
we go out, we go for drives.
So we just dropped out for 1 second, and can you just go?
Oh, shit.
Dropped.
What's happening? Are we there? Oh no. Did it turn off? I don't know. It's still connected. Close. What do I do? Technical difficulties, help me.
You mean Jordan? I can know here. You're back. You're back. All right.
All
Yeah, I
right.
don't know what happened. Yeah, we dropped out. Then I think it might be my end. It could be your end. What? Yeah. All right. Let's go back to the carers. Yeah. What's the situation?
Yeah. So basically, I have carers who work in my building because I live in specialist accommodation for people with high needs. I'm very lucky. My needs are not as high as other people here, but they help me with getting dressed, going to the toilet, getting in and out of bed, because if I get in and out of bed myself, I'm very likely to fall over. I don't really hurt myself, but I just end up on the floor. Cooking food, but with Claudia, she doesn't work for the building, she works for a different company. So we just go out and do fun stuff, or she helps me do food shopping. She listens to all my problems. She just makes me laugh. Like we just do stupid things because she has ADHD and she has her little moments where she'll do a dance in the lift and I'll start laughing. With Jess, she works with you at Encapsulator. So she is helping me with my mental health with the workbook. Thank you so much for that workbook. Like, I know it's for everybody that's doing it, but it's helping me so much.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Yeah, cool. Yeah, just to recap. So, and you're funded by NDISA, just to touch on that as well.
Yeah.
So it's great. Like I just love that. Like, and I know the system's not perfect or whatever, and I'm sure there's way more support you could get to. But let's also acknowledge all the wonderful support that you do have too. And part of that, and being funded through NDIS, is to have people for you and just supporting you along that way too, which is incredible.
Is it
Um,
me?
are you dropping out again? Far out. Can you hear me, George? So sorry, guys, if you jump. Can everyone hear me still right now? There's another little 40 seconds. I've got to cut this out too. All right, we can hear. Okay, we can hear Jay, but you can't hear me. Interesting. Um, let's try that again. I can hear you, Danny. Thanks, Lee. I can. Okay, Jordan. We're just waiting to bring Jordan back in. So many success stories. Can hear you. Thanks, Sakoa. Guys, Jordan, I'll just stay there. Jordan, it might have been your. We can hear and see you, DR Legends. Thanks. Just bear with us for a sec, guys. I'm just going to remove you from the stream again. Hello, everyone. I'm going to cut this out of the podcast, of course. Jordan, Jordan, I feel like your data has can't. All right, Jordan. So, guys, just for the record, thank you everyone for your patience. Such a deep, great story here too. We need to get this. All right, Jordan. So, guys, sorry, Jordan's just dropped out for a minute. She'll be back. She'll be back. I'll be able to cut this out of the final podcast. But I want an incredible. And guys, just so you know, I'm seeing all the beautiful feedback and support and comments coming through. I will put them back up. Here's Jordan
Are we
again.
good?
Yeah, you're back. You're back, Jordan.
Yeah.
Boom. We're at 42. All right. All good. Yeah, it was just your internet. All good, Jordan. All right. Good. Look, we're pretty much wrapping it up. We're coming to the end. There's been lots of comments. First of all, we're just getting closer towards the end. Is there anything else you want to share with us, Jordan?
Like, as much as I do get frustrated with carers and stuff and my situation, I'm very thankful for where I live and the help I do have, because I was living in Department of Housing, and if I would fall over at night time to get up and go to the toilet, I'd have to call the fire brigade to pick me up off the floor.
Yeah. Jordan. Yeah, no, again, man, I can't possibly imagine. All right, so on that note, so now who can you call now if that happens in the middle of the night?
So there's carers on site in a staff room, and I just buzz them or I call them on the phone, and I may have to wait a while, but
System's
they
not
just
is it? But
yeah.
supported housing everything. All right, good. Jordan, before we go and take some questions,
Yeah.
and do stuff like that, is there actually tell me about your dreams, Jordan. Like where, like you're 8 months clean now, right? Um, what are you hoping? Like, what's your have you got a big dream, a big vision? I can see on my backboard here. So I always talk about dreaming big. Actually,
Yeah.
this represents. Just so you guys know, you probably don't know this, Jordan, but that's the encapsulator there, and this is my manifestation for 2027. And you do know I was talking about having an office in New York overlooking Manhattan. So just on that note too, like and I always encourage everyone, our clients and anyone I talk to dream big. So Jordan, tell me what's your dreams? Like what dream big, Jordan? What where do you see life going?
Well, one thing I really want to get back into is walking, and
Yeah.
that depends on the NDIS and whether they'll fund this special walker that I need. but this walker actually takes some of the weight off my body. So when I'm walking, it will hold some of my weight and then I'll be able to walk again. I've tried it and I could walk. I ran around the hallway and everyone was like, "You're running. How are you running?" And I'm like, "Because all my weight is not on my body."
Yeah, cool. All right, we need to get your walker. And anyone listening to look, I don't really want to. Yeah, but like, if anyone's got any support or connections or anything, please reach out to me and I can share that stuff with Jordan, because you just never know, Jordan. Sometimes I may as well just put it out there. Who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe I want to donate a walker. Wouldn't that be incredible? But Jordan, okay. Oh, and the beach. We're going to the beach. The beach, huh?
Yeah. I'm excited for the beach.
Yeah. Jess has been doing a bit of research. Apparently, Bondi does have the things we need to get you in that water. Coming up to the warm weather too. So we'll be getting you in that beach on that big fucking mobile waterproof wheelchair soon. Maybe you, myself, Claudia, and Jess can go do that. All right, Jordan. I think your internet's a bit choppy, unless it's me, but I got a feeling it's you because you dropped out before.
Yeah, I think it's my internet because I have to hotspot. I don't have Wi-Fi here.
The good old hotspot. Jordan, do you have any, and I'm going to put you on the spot here. I ask everyone this, but do you have any words of wisdom that you'd want to share with us? What's the best thing you've ever heard? Share some words of wisdom with it. Is there anything you'd like to tell our viewers this?
Um, I know everyone has their own journey and you have to sometimes learn things the hard way, but if someone ever hands you a meth pipe, do not take it.
Wow, that's so significant. And what about, yeah, wow. And what about that person that injected you too? Who was that?
It was a person at the house where my friend lived.
Yeah, that person. And look, is it their fault? I don't know. Like, did you put yourself in that position? Who do we really blame? But
No one held
well,
a gun to my head and made me do it, but
I
I
think,
did beg her to do it.
yeah. So you begged her to do it. I wonder where. I wonder. Look, who knows? You know what? I'm always an optimist. I always look at the glass half full, and who knows where you would have been if it wasn't for that? Maybe, and I don't mean to put a weird spin on this, but maybe who knows what would have happened if that did? Like, you are here now. We are here right now as a direct result of the shit we've been through over the
Yeah,
years. And for me, I wouldn't change a single thing in my life because I love who I am, and I am literally a product of all my carnage of my past too. And I just want to, I mean, it's all we got, isn't it? We may as well,
exactly.
may
As
as
as hard as it was, I am who I am because of everything I've been through.
yeah, tomorrow's. All right, good, Jordan. Yeah. So your words of advice is if somebody hands you a crack pipe, a meth pipe, don't do it. But Jordan, what if someone said that to you, back then? What would you have said to them?
I probably would have told them to get fucked.
See, that's the problem, isn't it? Like, we can't be told, But in saying that, that same person who, like, have a listen to what's happened to you today, and look, there's always positives, there's always negatives to take from all of this stuff.
Well, the positive thing is the person that did that is now also clean and
Oh,
has her children.
yeah. Wow, good. Is that right? Wow, big shout out. Yeah, whatever. We all make mistakes. We make mistakes. There are definitely mean, bad people out there, and I always go back
I
to,
don't blame any of the people that I was around. I
yeah,
chose to do it.
me neither. That's a really good point, Jordan. Thank you for sharing that. I and look, so guys, if anyone's got any comments or questions, we can jump over and ask Jordan that in just a second. Before we wrap it up, I just want to say to anyone who has been listening, I know we had a few little technical difficulties there. But this, honestly, Jordan, this interview has been so beautiful for me. Like, it's so good to hear a little bit more about your story, and also, like like I can't imagine some of the shit you've been through. But I love that we can give you this safe place for you to talk about and share your story and help inspire other people as well. So thank you so much for being so
Yeah.
kind, Jordan. What have you got on for the rest of the day anyway now, Jordan?
Haven't made a plan yet. And
Yeah,
another thing I just want to say, like with my cerebral palsy now, I sometimes ring Jess and I'm like, "Hey Jess, I'm disabled," and she's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "No, I'm really feeling it. Like I'm in pain. I never felt my disability like this before. It's never affected me like this."
yeah,
And I know it's weird. Whenever I use, the pain goes away, which
yeah.
I don't understand because I'm sitting in my wheelchair for 3 days. But like,
Yeah. Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because drugs change the way you feel, you know. That's the problem. Is
yeah,
it's a temporary solution
oh, it's definitely temporary. The
for
bad outweighs the good.
well, I love that you can see that. All right, guys, before I'm going to jump over and take any questions, I just want to give one more big shout out to Koahani for sponsoring this podcast. Mel and Josh, you guys are absolute legends. Koahani supply NDI support and support coordination. They are helping you help yourself. If anyone wants any further information about either encapsulator, our NDIS service work, also Koahani, please feel free to reach out. What we're going to do right now, guys, if anyone's got any comments or questions, please drop them now. This is really hard, guys. I need a moderator to help me with these questions. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back and I'm going to see if I can highlight and definitely add some support on screen. So what you'll see now, Jordan, is I'm going to put little comments up on screen and we'll take our time. Katie says hi, everyone. Hey, Katie, legend. Katie is my. Um, all right, who else? Hang on, let me see.
Hi, Katie.
Where's my questions? Oh, here we are. Okay, I'm going to basically go through. Angela says hi, everyone. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Jennifer. We're happy to have you here. Also, Jess says, "Hey, George." Um, and here, this is one of your friends, Christy. You make me so.
Oh, my girl.
You know,
I love her.
yeah, legend. Thank you, Christy. Jay, love you all. Karen, you're amazing. And thanks for telling your story. Absolutely, Karen. I've got to be careful because occasionally, 1 in 100, there's some stupid comment and I don't want to put up on screen. Yeah,
Oh, that's
I know I can trust you. Yes, George has definitely lived a life and come out the other side. I'm so proud of her. Absolutely, Jess. We're so grateful for you too, Jess. Hey, Sarah Jane, thank you for watching. Anya FJ, legend, thanks for being here. Glenn's here. Glenn's heart always been the same. Thanks, FJ, Frankie, Travis. What's this comment? Where'd it go? What's up, brother? Glad to see you back on here. On you, Travis. Danny, her story is similar to daily life over here. I was telling you about the other day when we were messaging. On you, Travis. Leanne. Lee was into this a lot. Sending you lots of love and strength, Jordan.
Thank
Melissa.
you.
Melissa's so proud of you, Jordan. Such a strong woman. Know your worth. We love you. The universe loves you. Do you know Melissa? Or is it just
No,
Melissa?
don't know her. But thank
Sending
you.
love. Sending love. Big hugs,
Thank
George.
you.
Okay. Um, I'm not sure what this was. I think this comment was in relation to the person injecting you with meth. It was A Lee. All right, what's this big comment here? Hi, Han. All right, let's put this up. I think this is a pretty deep comment here. Hi, honey. I found my partner too in 2007 when I was pregnant with our second baby. So I feel your pain. I was so against drugs, but then I used for the first time about 2 or 3 years ago, and it took my soul away, and I lost my life. And so much love. I lost friends and family one after the other, and I'm also so glad to let it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I can't possibly.
It's just
Hey, sober is cool. You absolute legend. Big shout out, Brad. Much love, mate. Thanks for jumping on. That dude's got a big follow. Melissa, Danny, you're here we go. Hang on, Danny, you are not talking about fun times. You are giving people the ability to understand why their family members are using. Jordan, thank you for being very honest. I hate ice, what it has done to my family and friends, but listening to you makes me understand why. Doesn't
yeah,
make me stop hating it though. Yeah, so true, Melissa.
that's
That's
completely understandable. You can hate it, but it's hard to understand why unless you've been through it.
Thank you for the question, Ange. Are you okay, hun? I'm also an addict. I started
Yeah.
using. Yeah, I know she dropped that comment when you were talking something quite deep. Sakoa, hey Sakoa, how are you? Oh my God, that must be so hard. So sorry, Jordan. I know Sakoa's been through a lot of shit too.
Yeah.
Jess, what to you, Jess? Thank you so much, Jordan, for sharing your story. Tanya, oh man, so much trauma. So glad she found recovery. Thank goodness, Tanya. Melissa Ryan again. I'm just sad because I know someone who uses. I don't use. I don't drink or smoke even pot, but I am close to the person who does. This story is very revealing for me. Thank you, Melissa. Look,
Hope you're okay.
it's such a weird. Well, it's not a weird thing, but it's we're in a unique position to be able to share stories. Yes, Sakoa, congratulations, Jordan, for your 8 months. That is, we are in a unique position to be able to jump on here and here's a shout out to Claudia too. Lisa, Lisa says, "Love you, Claudia."
Love
Um,
you.
so glad you're being
You
supported.
can
Yes.
come say hi if you want.
All right. So there's a couple of comments come through there about the internet. We can skip all those.
Yep.
So many stories. Oh yeah, FJ. So many success stories gives other people hope. Absolutely. Okay, if anyone's dropped any comments on coming to yours soon now, supported housing would make a huge difference. Yeah, it does, Jordan, having the
Yeah,
support.
it does.
Takes a ton of courage to share your story like this, Danny. I love that you do these because it really can help a lot of people. It definitely does take a ton of courage. I can't imagine. Um, Yeah, Jordan's been through so much shit. Lee, you're an inspiring woman, Jordan. Despite the hardships, you're still moving forward and surrounded by some loving, compassionate support. You know what? This is working the way I'm reading out these questions today because I'm just taking my time. Jess, I'm so excited to be able to see you in this walker. It's so much swimming and strength in your legs. Jess, you're a
Yeah.
legend. Thank you. Another one by Jess. The cool thing with George is once she's in the water, she's like free. Oh yeah, and won't need
Yeah.
it. So amazing. That's so beautiful, Jess. Thank you for pointing that out. So Jordan, like on that, Jess is talking about when you're in the hydro pool in
Or
particular, like you're free.
any
You
pool.
yeah, in the pool, yeah, you can just do your thing. Hey, that's like your. It's almost like dreamland. It's like your.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
I'm not in pain when I'm in the water. I can walk, I can swim.
that's beautiful. That's so true. So yeah, we need to get in that water way more. And you're both very strong. You're both very strong and good people. It's hard with the mental side of things with addiction. So
Yeah.
there's so many comments. There's everyone. Thank you so much. I'm gonna let me. Oh, here we're wrapping it up. Hey Jordan, thank you so much for sharing your story, Legend Katie. Lee, sorry, I didn't realize she was a sister with hydrotherapy. That's okay. Maybe you mentioned something else.
No, that's fine.
Um, Lots of self care today. Oh, here's Lee saying lots of self care today after
Yeah.
these discussions. Yeah, true. True, Lee. All right, legends. Melissa, it's been a huge insight for me. Thank you so much, Melissa. Our job is to help share the message of recovery for those even for the loved ones of those addicted and and, and again you're both very strong good people. It's hard to follow. I think I already put that one up. All right, guys, much love, everyone. Thank you so much for your support. Jordan, we're going to wrap it up. How you feeling, Jordan? How was that to share your
That was
story?
good.
Yeah.
I just want to make a quick shout out to my brother Huck because I put him through hell when I was using, and after I got clean, he lived with me for a while, and I had paranoia from the drugs left over. So love you, Huck, if you're watching.
Yeah, that's so good, Jordan. Thank you. All right, guys, Jordan, stay on there for a sec. Everyone, thank you so much for another awesome episode of Kick the Shit podcast. Sarah Jane, I'm going to end with you. Well done, Jordy. Thanks for sharing. It takes courage and strength. And Sarah Jane, massive congrats and love to you, dear legend. Jordan, stay on there. I'm going to end the stream. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you. Bye.